of December 2023. And of course, it's Christmas, a special day, a special package we have for you this Christmas day. My name is Nonye Nwokoye, welcoming you to the show this morning. We are so delighted to be here, and that's how we roll. You know, as I was leaving the house this morning, somebody said, were you not giving up? This is Christmas. I said, that's how we roll. That's how we work as broadcasters. Whenever you are called upon to handle your duty, you must be there. Good morning once again, and Merry Christmas to you out there. I hope you are having a wonderful time knowing the reason for the season, which is Jesus Christ. You're welcome to our show. Let's begin now with the press review. Okay. All right, you're welcome to the press review. On the press review this morning, I have Samuel Ololo in the studio. Merry Christmas, Samuel.
Merry Christmas to you, Naye. And then Merry Christmas to Njanambra. 2023 Christmas celebration Gawurani Afoma.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we have so much papers to review, and of course stories making the headlines on ABS website. Remember, it's audience participatory. When the time comes, you can call in and make your own contribution. The telephone lines are on the screen. Now let's begin with taking a look at some of the stories. Okay, we start with the first paper, the Daily Sun newspaper. Daily Sun newspaper. Sorry, we can't take Daily Sun. We move on to the Punch newspapers. Let's see stories in front of the Punch newspaper. Okay, the first story we are looking at in the Punch says right in front of the Punch newspaper, the banner headline says EFCC arrests humanitarian ministries contractor, probes 4 Buhari ministers, is under 187 billion naira fraud. We have riders on that story. Ex-Humanitarian Affairs Minister Omar Farouk, ex-DGs face arrest over 37 billion naira money laundering allegation. Then another one says anti-graft agency grills contractor over funds transfer, probes 3 other Buhari's ministers over 150 billion naira. You can imagine the amount, you know, it's not even million, it's in billions. All right, and the NDLEA arrests grandma's son for drug trafficking, seizes 7.5 million tramadol. And also trigger Happy Corp to face sanctions. Ogun CP visits a short actor. Okay, thank God the guy did not die. Tinubu urges patience. Atiku, governors preach love. Tinubu urges patience. Atiku, governors preach love. And of course, we can see up there, I will access Tinubu's government after 1 year. That's coming from Wole Soyinka. NPAN increases newspaper cover price January 2nd. Emefiele rejects investigators' report, faces a fresh allegation. Okay, these are the stories making their headlines in front of the Punch newspaper. And of course, we can see the Christmas celebration that sounds people rendering songs, and of course the Christmas tree behind them in front of that paper. Let's look at the stories. What exactly are you saying, Ololo?
Okay, once again, Merry Christmas to you, and then Merry Christmas to our dear viewers out there. In the spirit of Christmas, when we want to take a special review of our lives to know what is really happening, then we would ask ourselves, are we possibly making any headway? I want to believe that with what is going on in the country, it is not the first time that as a nation we are hearing billions of naira, both local currency and foreign currency, being embezzled by our supposed leaders. And it's now making me reflect on the kind of selfless service that Jesus Christ, when the time came for who to redeem humanity, came up, and then he said he's willing to. And despite bringing himself out to redeem us, we see the way we cajoled him. We see the way we did not really accept him. And then story has it that till today and tomorrow, some persons, some Jews are still expecting that Jesus Christ to come and save them, whereas he has come to save us. And let us reflect to what our leaders are doing. Many times we have asked that when our primary health care centers are not functioning, what is really the problem? Is it that we are having revenue problems, or is it that we are putting in our resources where they are not supposed to be, or what? And now I've found out that these things are happening because we have leaders who don't even care about the people. And for crying out loud, there are sensitive ministries that if they don't tend to be accountable to the people, their misdeed is going to cause serious fallback on the citizens. Typical example, like the humanitarian ministry. When we talk about humanitarian ministry, their duty also cut across during COVID-19, 2020, 2021 era, and they were talking about post-COVID-19. And this is the resources at their disposal that they would have used to improve healthcare service delivery, that primary healthcare service delivery. This is the resources at their that they can use to really ensure that the out of school children that we're talking about are being taken care of. And they were even the ones that were taking care of that school feeding programs. So you see that
does it mean the humanitarian is not humane?
They are not humane.
That
is exactly what I'm saying. And then look at the amount of money that they are taking. And at the other flip side of it, you see Nigeria as a country borrowing money, whereas the ones we have borrowed, we cannot account for them. It is unfortunate that this is happening, and if it is not controlled by this current government, I'm sure, and it's going to be shocking that these things will continue to increase, and before we know it, will become a monster that will swallow all of us as a country.
All right, I think we look at others. Take another story from that. Punch, they trigger Happy Cup to face sanctions. In fact, when I saw that story, I thought the guy died. You know, though I didn't read through, I just saw the headline that an actor was shot by a cop. You know, and I was like, was he drunk, or was it a mistake? Did the thing fell off his hand, or was he trying to, pick it and in the process accidentally, or whatever? It
can be anything really. And then
they said that he's going to face sanctions according to the Commissioner of Police.
So I think this in a working society, there should be sanctions and there should be benefits to those who are in a system. That is what encourages or punishes people. Now, we're just talking about humanitarian ministry. Let us also bankroll to what you talked about, Emefiele rejecting the publication or the investigation that was made, and then tie it to what the Happy Cup had done. So we are from the EndSARS generation. And for us, when we talk about EndSARS does not mean that we should kill the policemen. EndSARS does not mean we should kill the old politicians. EndSARS for us meant we want a better living welfare package. EndSARS for us means we want a friendly police-citizens relationship. When you go to the police station, you see that inscription, police is your friend. You see another one, bail is free. But the question is, are these things really the reality?
And this shooting is basically one of the greatest reasons that came up in the first place.
Exactly. So when we, I think we need those who are managing our economy to really go into retrospect. And we even want to ask, when they hold their Federal Executive Council meeting, how they make approvals really. Because it's at that point where they make approvals and then where they should also follow up with their approvals. If the police is well taken care of, if their welfare is well provided, if they constantly go into training and retraining programs, I know that they would have the right mind frame to really discharge their duties. And this discharge, accidental discharge, or situations that we hear will not really happen. And then this situation wouldn't have even come up. Last 2 weeks or last month, we saw the police barracks when we were talking about the government going to COP28 with almost 1,114 persons, 41. Or 41 persons. And then we tried to match it with the infrastructure availability of the police. You see that we are really having a misplacement of our resources. So if this policeman is well taken care of, we know that he will be in the right frame of mind to really make a judgment that would not really cause this kind of misdeeds. And so that is for us what we were talking about when we were shouting EndSARS. And then they might think they have silenced us when EndSARS happened, but the issues are still glaring at our faces. And I think they owe us an apology, we the youths, when we were saying EndSARS. That was an opportunity for them to call us and ask us, let us start this conversation. But they thought, and then they branded us, gave us negative names, and then started killing us. It is happening. And for the police, both the Inspector General of the Police, both the AIG, the DIG, and all other, their rank and files, they should understand that the Nigerian citizens care for them, and we care about them. Let us have smooth relationship with them. If there are issues, let them make the citizens know about it so that these things would end. The truth is, nobody knows who another cop will shoot. Last year or last 2 years, we were talking about Bolanle in Lagos State that was shot by a cop. And we know what happened. She died. The lawyer, she died, and then who knows what is happening to her family and the baby, the little children that she left. So these are really issues that are going on in society. And today, again, is calling us to really, as a nation, come together to ask ourselves, what do we do to move forward?
All right, let's move on. The next paper for review now is the Vanguard newspapers. And we can see, you know, in front of that, I like the way the Vanguard people designed their front page to reflect the mood we are in, the Christmas mood. You know, that's a wonderful one there. I really love the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Now, hard choices, high prices ruin Christmas for Nigerians. Hard choices, high prices ruin Christmas for Nigerians. We have riders there. Price increases range from 50% to more than 100%. Consumers shift to cheaper brands, reduced quantity. Traders cite subsidy removal, naira depreciation for price increase. Nigerians go for beef as price of chicken soars. That you can find on the page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. South Nigerians are celebrating Christmas on empty stomachs. Catholic bishops to political leaders, adjust your lifestyle to economic realities. And of course, in the spirit of Christmas, of the season, your favorite companies, Vanguard, will be off the newsstand tomorrow, back on Wednesday to continue serving you. Christmas is happening to virtually everyone. Now we can see the picture. There's a picture in front of the Vanguard. Behold the crowd welcoming Governor Yusuf, that's Governor of Kano State. Tinubu to Nigerians, be your brother's keepers. We have riders there, says my reforms for prosperous nation have unique sacrifices, pledges to govern with empathy. OB6 special prayers for Nigeria. On sports, so Simeon now Napoli highest paid star. Wale Kama, okay, we see household celebrate you tied in darkness despite 4,591 megawatts generation. Columnist Chidi Odin, Carlo Dele Shobowale. Okay, that's the much we have in front of the Vanguard newspaper. In fact, I'm really touched by this statement from the Catholic bishops to political leaders. Adjust your lifestyle to economic realities. And if you'll agree with me, this is what presidential aspirant under LP, Peter Obi, has been clamoring for, that Nigerians need to cut the cost of governance. What's your take?
I'm happy that this is also coming up. It's a true reflection of what every average Nigerian would want to say. When we were talking earlier, we talked about some persons made to endure, while some other persons are made to enjoy. The question now is, they are talking to politicians, and would these people really listen? Have they ever listened to the citizens? If not, when they want to be correct politically. If not, when they think if they do this, it will score them cheap scores. That is only when you see major shift. We are just talking about the 2024 budget. And if you, of course, it is in the budget that you see the interests and the priorities of the government. We are seeing a government that is increasing social media and public awareness allocation by close to more than 1,000%. It used to be 7 million. Now they're taking to 80-something million. So do the mathematics. So we see people who currently we are talking about wanting to build a house. And it's not like the vice president. I'm not against living a comfortable lifestyle, but it should be a reflection of what the society or what the citizens are facing. So the Catholic bishop calling on them to also, because most of the time they tell us austerity measures, we should tighten our belt. So while the citizens are tightening their belt, we also want to see the political elite. We also want to see them tighten their belt. We also want to see them come up with policies like improving infrastructures of the primary healthcare centers, improving access to basic education for an average Nigerian. So once they pump in money in those areas, these are tools that can really make the citizens bounce back and come back alive. But we see them spending money on frivolities. We see them giving allocations and giving contracts unduly. So the bishops talking to them, we really wish they would listen. And then they listen to us is not a favor, but it is our right, and it is something that they necessarily need to do. And this is still in line with what the president has said, that his measures, his economic activities is really to strengthen the society.
Come to think of it, say this country is like most times, most things you hear or you read on the pages of papers, and it ends there. Most times the things, beautiful things are said, beautiful intentions, they just write it in front of our national dailies, and that's all. And where do we think we are going with this? 2024 is around the corner, and people, we've not really experienced a significant thing over the months that this administration came up. They've been beautiful statements coming from that quarter, beautiful policies to see whether they can ameliorate the plight of Nigerians. But till today, we've not seen a significant thing come to happen. Does it mean it's just to write it on the front of papers, to go to the television to talk about it, and at the end of the day, that's all?
So I see three triads here, and then there is a strong disconnect between these three triads. That's these 3 points. I see a nation that academically is sound. Okay. So when you see people who are sound academically, when they speak, it reflects what they say. Then I see people who have low social knowledge of what is happening, because there is this strong disconnect between this academic knowledge and then social knowledge. Then the last one, I see people who have lost their humanity, and then it is a travesty really for us, because when we hear the government talk about these things, the question is, at whose interest? So you see them, they sit down, instead of them to say, this is the true state of the citizens, this is what we can do to near affect their lives positively. What they look at is what our political opponents, what are they saying, what can we do to counter what our political opponents are saying. Then now we are hearing, unfortunately, this is just 2023 that we finished general election. We are now hearing people playing politics for 2027 election. So conversations they make, plans they make is around what can we do to whittle the influence of our opponents, what can we do to strengthen our stronghold in 2027. So that is the conversation you have. And then, of course, since they are educated, since they are not just, you can't wish them away. What they say is appealing, but when the reality of implementing what they have said comes on ground, you would weep, because they don't even try to reflect what can we do to affect an everyday
and who
life.
Says Nigeria cannot be great with all the beautiful statements,
The
beautiful policies?
truth nice, even an average
Yeah.
Nigerian is like a government on its own, because you are made to provide your light. We just talked about electricity. Nigerians celebrating Christmas without electricity. So across board, you see Nigerians, even with the high cost of fuel, buying fuel to power their generator. So they have provided light for themselves this Christmas season.
Okay.
And you will see also that the high cost of food, they are made to either go hungry or just work beyond they can just to get that money to provide for their family. So Nigerians naturally are now doing the work of the government.
Okay, let's move on. The Daily Independent newspaper. That's the next paper for review now, the Daily Independent. We will soon emerge into new dawn of prosperity. That's, do I call it a prophetic statement coming from our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, reassures on palliatives to ease burden on the needy. Our RSA holders receive 137 billion naira from 29,781 employers. SERAP sues NNPC over Nigeria's daily oil production exportation. Buhari authorized Naira redesign. MFL insists. Be steadfast. Today's pains will be over soon. Akpabio tells Nigerians, let Christmas help us appreciate the essence of our creation, says Obi. Again, I didn't invite Tinubu to intervene in Rivers crisis. That's coming from Wike. Christmas. Senators make case for Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. Urge patience, patience, patience. Again, Independent increases cover price to 500 naira. 2017, Guba bids of Senator, Assembly Speaker on Seto Kwara Governor. Okay, over 50,000 soldiers can't be with families this Christmas. Okay, that's the much we are taking from the Daily Independent newspaper. Okay, Ololo, I don't know.
So we will soon emerge into new dawn of prosperity.
Where is it?
We want to see Nigeria, well, this is the prayer of an average Nigerian. Nobody wants to suffer. And we know that as a country, when we talk about prosperity, we want the government to, beyond what they are saying, beyond what we see on papers, to see practical steps that lead to the possibilities of this happening. That is the responsibility of the government, to really ensure that the citizens are living a worthwhile life. So beyond what the government is saying about Nigerians embracing prosperity, there are practical steps, there are indicators that when we see, we can say that, okay, there is hope for Nigeria. Otherwise, things happens that, what do we justify and how do we justify a country that, now we are talking about NNPC, from what we've talked, we cannot really give an accurate data of the exploration that they make. We cannot give an accurate data of the crude oil that they send out. So a lot of things in the country is filled with secrecy, and no nation grows when they are not open to one another. So for the president to assure Nigerians that we are going to go into prosperity soonest, that is what we wait, that is what we want. And when the youths came out in 2023 to talk about the new Nigeria that we want to build, that is what we were looking at. So regardless of who makes the life of an average Nigeria to be worthwhile, I think we are going to embrace it. Now, talking about our senators, I think it is high time the senators to stop making blanket statements. Yeah, we know we have initially, during the Buharist era, there was this fight between the Senate and the executive, that's the legislative and the executive. Buhari on his own part, and then the then Saraki, who was the then Senate president. And then the question was, when there are gaps, when there are misunderstanding between legislative and the executive, does the country actually grow? So a lot of persons came with this theory that they should really work harmoniously. And then that is one thing that we saw in the second term of Buhari, when he was working with Lawal and then others, where they were passing a lot of other things. And then we have seen where we are as a country, where 23 trillion ways and means was passed, was just arbitrarily approved. And it has further deepened Nigeria's debt crisis. And here we are having senators who are talking for the president, the executive. I think there is nothing wrong with the senators or the House, the National Assembly members, both at the state and at the national level, talking for the executive arm. But I think it should be a reflection of the pains and the wishes and the desires of the citizens. How many times do they hold town hall meetings to really interact with their constituents, so that when they open their mouths to make a comment or a statement, it will be that as a fallout of what we have done, this is what they are saying. And not because you are in Abuja, where you have everything at your beck and call, you then begin to make blanket statement against the interests of the citizens. I think it's unfair. So our politicians, and especially our representatives, must truly represent the interests of the people. And when the people tell them that they are hungry, they should not shush them. They should not make them to shut up. They should ask what is the situation and what is the way out. When the people tell them that the healthcare facilities are not functioning, I am very, very particular about healthcare facilities and then access to education, because we have done a couple of programs around that area, and I bet you it is nothing to write home about.
And look at what you said earlier concerning our politicians, talking about 2027. When Nigerians
just came out of 2023 election.
Yes, they said that's Guba bids of senators, assembly speakers, unsettled Kwara governor.
For 2027.
For 2027, when we are, I don't know how much work they have done for the nation, within the time frame they are already. Before talking, they should start talking about the 2027 election.
So that is true, and then that is why we are not expecting anything new as a country, because they have not given us reason to really have hope in them. And then we ask that when we talk about Nigeria and practicing democracy, it is more like willfully giving your power to a group of people.
And Ololo is quite unfortunate. You think we have accountability sector in this country? There are offices whose responsibility it is to hold these people to account. There's what is called you examine what have you done. What are you doing? What are you going to do? Nobody talks about that, you know, I don't know
So
where we are actually going as a nation.
What I see here is...
It's worrisome.
What I see here is an institution that has been compromised in every angle. Because I know that many of these ministries, departments, and agencies have their own internal mechanism that, of course, they have their planning, research, and statistics. They have their M&E, monitoring, evaluation.
To bring somebody
office,
to book, come and give an account of what you have done.
They have
if
those
you've
units.
not done well, you step aside, let another person go and try. You know, a nation that you don't see this kind of a thing, we keep going down by the day.
So now, even because these internal mechanisms were not working, that is why we came up with the EFCC, the ICPC, and then the likes of it all, even the police to some extent. So the question is, even these other ones being an external organs, to what extent are they functioning? As a nation, till we come to that point where our political representatives become very, very sincere to their statements, and this is what I want to do. The moment you find out that you are not leading the people to that direction, you honorably resign. Okay. I think till we get to that point, we will continue to see people that will call anywhere.
Let's see stories in front of the Nation newspaper now. Let's see stories making their headlines in front of the Nation's newspaper. Peace of Ondo, Jimo Ibrahim thanks Tinubu as Senator commences APC unit ward visit to leaders. President assures Nigerians of new dawn progress. Nobel laureate Soyinka, Governor Oti visits Tinubu. MFL Mustafa TGI tackles CBN investigator. NPAN announces new cover price for newspapers. Senator introduces a Sayori card to target 1 million votes for 2024 and 2027 election, distributes palliative. We quickly move on to the Guardian newspaper. Let's see story is making the headlines in front of the Guardian newspaper. Unusual Yuletide as cash crunch and affordable prices, mass celebration. We also have other stories, save people from trouble, suffering. Badejo admonishes political leaders. We can see Opadoku tasked Tinubu to restore constitutional governance. No compromise on $800 million conditional cash transfer, says NSIPA boss. Tinubu seeks support, promises more interventions to ease hardship. Emefiele breaks silence on looted funds kept in foreign banks. These are the stories making their headlines. And the LAA seizes 7.5 million tramadol pills, 95,400 codeine bottles. FG condemns attacks on Borno Yobe electricity infrastructure. All right, can we look at the unusual Yuletide as cash crunch and affordable prices, mass celebration?
So this is that they have rolled out, and they try to use it to justify that Nigerians can't be suffering. But the truth is, let me use for an example, the 50% transport costs that the president has, the policy of 50% transport costs. Now, let us paint a scenario where initially transportation costs used to be, let's say, 7,500.
But was that really
no, it's
true?
It's effective. Yeah, it's at some places.
It's effective.
Yeah, it is at some places. But let me walk through this. Okay. Where transportation costs used to be 7,500, now it has gone as high as 40,000 naira, and then they're telling you 50% cost, and it's now 20,000 naira. Okay. You see that from 7,500 it is now 20,000 naira. So the question is, can citizens still afford this? For that apart. So I think we want a country where our political leaders can begin to try to stop scoring cheap political points. Because at the moment where they're trying to score cheap political points, it is at the interest of the citizens. And then this is what you are seeing. Look at the price of rice as at May, or during the half of the year, and now at the end of the year. Look at the price of a lot of the commodities. and then you check the inflation rate that we're talking about in the market. So, and the women that go to the market know how difficult it is for these people to get these things. And we are talking about the nation pushing the youths. And earlier you talked about an old woman that was nabbed by NDLEA pushing drugs. So a nation where people are being pushed to survive at all costs, not making excuse for them, unfortunately, it means that crime is inevitable. And if we continue to have high unemployment rates, if we continue to have the youth underemployed, if we continue to have people who are not satisfied living as a nation, this thing, in fact, we are going into anarchy. And it will be very, very difficult for the country to really control it. That is what we are saying as our Christmas message. We want our country to sit down, that's the managers of the country. The citizens have willingly given them their mandate. We know you can manage these resources for us. Why is it then that they are dispensing these resources just at their own interest, forgetting the masses?
Even the ones that did not get it willingly should do what they are supposed to do there, since they forced themselves to be there.
And you know why they were forcing themselves? They had plans. So the question now is, I think,
where are those plans?
What happens to their plans?
All right. On that note, the message from Ololo, to Nigerians or leaders as we celebrate Christmas. We conclude the press review for this morning. We'd like to thank you so much for coming, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you for having me,
for even accepting to be here on Christmas Day.
That is what we need to do to continue the work.
Thank you for being here. And that's just about it on the press review. My name is Nonye Nwokoye. Merry Christmas to you.